Very, very interesting price action. What's up, guys? So clearly the SPY, the NASDAQ, the overall stock market is showing a lot of strength currently, right? But now we're getting into a very, very interesting scenario for both bulls and bears. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about that. And we're going to take a look at the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, and the crypto market. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So here's a daily chart of the SPY. During range-bound trading markets, you can only be bullish really in two different scenarios. So you could either be bullish near support or become bullish as we get closes above resistance. So for the past few days, I've been saying how this level of resistance was going to be very, very important for us to close above on the SPY, and we have closed above it. All right. So, but when you take a look at the NASDAQ, you can see that we did not really get a close above the major level of resistance. We basically wicked. All right. And what's also very important to see on the SPY and the NASDAQ is that the slower MACD line is starting to slow down and begin to curl up. And when that happens, that means that the overall momentum is very, very bullish. All right. So now taking a look at the IWM is also nowhere near above this level of resistance. So currently, all we can see right now is the SPY closed above this level. The NASDAQ and the IWM are still failing to break above, all right? But the NASDAQ is performing better than the IWM. Now, I also want to take a look at the larger tech stocks. So, for example, Apple. In relation, relative to where the NASDAQ is, basically the NASDAQ is trading over here, close to this level of resistance. Sorry, go back to Apple. Apple is clearly not trading very close at all. And the fact that Apple is showing this weakness is not a great sign for the market, because if the market was truly, truly strong, Apple would also be showing this strength. But we can see that Tesla is very, very comfortably closing above major levels of resistance. Microsoft, similar to Apple, but I mean, it's not as weak, but it's still trading below the level. Google, you could clearly see that it's tapping this level. And then Amazon is doing pretty well, trading above levels of resistance. So we can see that there's differing signals, but the main thing that I wanted to show you guys was that Apple is really, really showing weakness, and it's not showing that much strength. So essentially, what we're gonna have to do, right, as we broke above this level of resistance, now is basically the time. In terms of day trading, it's easier for us to be more bullish because we are currently above this level of resistance, right? If we end up, futures open, and then if we end up showing weakness heading into Monday morning, and we're like at 404 or 405, then everything that we're basically talking about is irrelevant in terms of the strength. But for day trading, if we open above this level of resistance here, basically at 406, that's going to be very, very bullish to the upside. But now, longer term, the macro environment is still bearish. Getting pops like this is a very good opportunity to get into longer term puts. And because you don't want to get into longer term puts at weakness. You want to start scaling into puts at resistance. So this is basically, so essentially, here's what I basically want to try to explain. When you try to go long at support, you have to play very, very safe, right? And very, very safe. You're playing with a proper stop loss, essentially, right? Same concept with trying to go long above this level of resistance. You can start to go long here, and then you need to have like a clear defined level of support down here as well, right? That's fine. But if you're starting to scale into longer term puts, it is not as safe because this momentum can continue to go up. All right, so the safest opportunity to go short would be at around 410 to 412, right? This zone right here, this prior support zone, essentially right there, and then the 417 level, right? So the market can continue to go higher which is why scaling into these puts, it's not safe, and there isn't a super clear reward in terms of, you know, risk reward, because the levels of resistance are much higher. There isn't much resistance, I would argue, until about like 410 to 412. Whereas if you decided to go long, the risk reward is much tighter. All right. So from a trading standpoint, intraday, you can basically do anything. All right. There's great opportunities to make money either way intraday, right? But swing trading wise, it's not as favorable to go short until we break back and close back below 405. That's my opinion. As we get closer to 411 and 412, that's when it becomes more favorable to go short. All right. But regardless, this strength and pops like these are good opportunities to get into longer term puts for a few months out, because if everyone is anticipating that we end up falling lower, we're going to look back in hindsight and be like, wow, remember when the SPY was trading above 400 and we wanted to be bullish for a few dollars instead of just throwing like a bunch of money into longer term put? You know, so in hindsight, like, we're going to talk about this in hindsight if the SPY ends up falling down below the prior lows. So you always want to get into good trades. All right. The market is still extremely bearish. And all of these signs of strength are amazing opportunities to scale into puts. That's basically my thought process for the market in general. We could take a look at the dollar. The dollar is basically showing weakness, and it's starting to show some sort of support around this trend line, but it showed weakness, and the 30-year bonds is also starting to bottom out a bit. The MACD is actually very weak on the 30-year bonds, which is not a good sign. So if this can continue falling lower, that means that the stock market is going to continue falling lower as well. And we would need to start showing like extreme breaks below like 131, which was a prior important level of support. So if we break down below 131, we can continue, honestly, we can continue going higher in the stock market as long as this level holds, in my opinion. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. And then, not to mention, I didn't even mention that on Tuesday, CPI data comes out. So we can take a look at 8:30 a.m. Pre-market CPI data comes out. So Monday night, don't try to hold anything too heavy overnight, because with CPI data coming out, things can go either way. But yeah, aside from that, and then we also have PPI data coming out, I think Wednesday. Wednesday morning. So there's a lot of stuff going on this week in terms of pre-market. But I hope you guys have an amazing Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will see you guys tomorrow. And make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And tune into the live stream tomorrow morning. Join the Discord if you haven't already. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.